I missed that intro.
I know, dude. So
God,
sick.
I'm fired up right now. Welcome to the Winging It podcast. This is episode 97.
Wow.
97.
Wow.
I'm Ali. As always, I'm joined by Aleks. Unfortunately, Andrew could not join us today. Before I get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are listening to us or watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please hit that subscribe button. SoundCloud, Snail Mail, Facebook, whatever you're listening to us on, just make sure you hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so you don't miss another update for when we come out with this amazing content. It's been a couple of weeks. Some things have happened. Like, a lot of things have happened related to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to just kick it over to Aleks and just ask him how has the last 2 weeks have been for you? Like, are you just bored, just waiting around for, this Kendrick Lamar concert that we got coming up on Sunday?
Dude, I don't think I've had probably a passing hour in the last 2 weeks where I haven't thought about the magnitude of this game and what's happening. The Philadelphia Eagles, if you haven't heard or been living under a rock, are going to Super Bowl 59 against the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to get into the matchup in a little bit, but I do have to say, and you all thought I was crazy when I said that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to whoop the Commanders by a 3-possession win. And I'm looking at the scoreboard right now. It is 55-23 in one of the best games I've ever been to at the Link. I said that about the last week's game. I feel like they're just, and the playoffs are just so freaking hype and so exciting. But one of the best games that I've ever been to in my life, to be able to send the Eagles off to the Super Bowl against an interdivision rival. It doesn't get much better than that.
So you were at the game against the LA Rams when Saquon Barkley broke off that big run at the end of the game where he was like slapping his helmet, right? I think it was super iconic, and I think it was Chris Long who talked about how he gets chills just like listening to that play from the crowd. I want you to tell me what the difference was between that play and the first play of the game when Saquon Barkley rips off a 60-yard touchdown home run to start the game.
Yeah, so I will say that probably when Saquon broke free against the Rams, we knew what that meant, right? Now, although the game did get a little bit too close for comfort there at the end, in the snow, looking just like a Shady McCoy in his prime. I think that moment was certainly bigger than the first play of the game, the NFC Championship game. It was crazy because, I mean, when you actually think about that opening drive by the Commanders, it was methodical. They went for on fourth down, I think 2 or 3 times. And there was actually no reason, in my opinion, that they should have settled for 3. They should have gone for, I mean, they had us dead to rights. They had us on the ropes, and they were walking down the field, and we were sitting next to a few Commanders fans, and they were all really excited about what happened in the first play of the game. I look over at them when Saquon broke it big, and their hands are over their eyes, and they just like cannot believe what happened. Their first drive was like 7 or 8 minutes long. Ours took a total of 6 seconds to get on the board and take the lead early on, and that was basically it for the entire game.
It is just, honestly, I think we can dedicate an entire episode just talking about how this guy's, his impact on this team, what it's done for us as a city, as a fan base. And frankly, a lot of the players on the team look to this guy as the unquestioned sort of co-leader, if you will, of this football team. I think I may go out and say that he is probably having the greatest season of all time out of any obviously Tom Brady aside, right? But like any non-quarterback, he's having the greatest season of all time.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree. And like another thing too, and like I always knew that Saquon was like a stand-up person, but just the humility that this guy has. I mean, no moment just seems too big for him. He always seems to say the right things. He's an absolute team player. He doesn't care about breaking rushing records. He doesn't put himself out there. Dude, I mean, he's pulling Will Shipley out of that pile. Like that could have been another touchdown for Saquon right there, right? Already on top of a game. And he's like, no, like, Will, like, you're like, go get it. Like, go get it, dude. And he's running faster than anybody else on the sideline needs to go and like pull his own teammate out of that pile at the end of the game and congratulate him. So it's like it's not only I love it when you don't have a diva that's front and center making it all about him, and you have someone as talented as Saquon that is like truly a team player and just exemplifies so much humility. It's just a wonderful thing to have for our team.
And then on the other side of that, we had some stellar play by our linebackers.
Yeah, dude.
Zach Bond coming up with the
Amazing.
first fumble of the game. Oren Burks, we talked about him a couple of
Yeah,
weeks
looked
ago,
real good.
and how
You weren't a
and
believer in Oren Burks. You were not a believer in Oren Burks.
I thought I was. I thought I
Maybe
was.
I think he came into the game and you were texting me like, dude, this guy sucks. Get him out of there. I was like, we can't do anything about it. But yeah.
I called him out as like a huge like bright spot a couple of weeks ago when we talked about 2 up, 2 down. Oren Burks has really come on and fit in and truly embodied this like next man up mentality for us on
Mhm.
this defense. And I remember I was watching, I think, the show The Facility, and James Jones was talking about how when he was watching the Green Bay Packers Eagles game in the wild card round of the playoffs, he was like, I couldn't understand why the Packers couldn't hang on to the ball. It's like, hang on to the ball, hang on to the ball. And then I watched the Eagles play the Rams, causing a bunch of turnovers. And then I watched the Eagles play the Commanders, causing a bunch of turnovers. It's like, you don't turn the ball over until you play this Philadelphia Eagles
Yeah.
defense. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible. But I do have to say, man, shout out to it's hard to say this, but shout out to Jaden Daniels, man. He's a baller. And
Yeah.
I know you've been a big fan of him all year, and I hate giving, someone in their interdivision props, but dude has really balled out. And in his rookie season, he almost did the impossible. No rookie quarterback has ever led a team to the Super Bowl. It almost happened with Brock Purdy, but did not. Because I think it was us. Yeah, it was us that stopped him. And then yeah, it's almost happened with Jane Down. It almost happened with Joe Burrow too, I believe. But just incredible game by him. I mean, 251 passing yards. Seems like he was absolutely unstoppable. A little bit of that VR training or whatever you were alluding to must have done him really well. But really stellar performance from him. He's going to be a problem to deal with for a while. Hopefully, he's going to be hitting that sophomore slump here, and it's not gonna translate to long term. But I really do have a feeling that the league is on watch, and he's going to be the quarterback to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his entire team, who was making all the mistakes? It was the veterans. It wasn't Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels actually had a really good game.
Yeah, for the most part, I will have to say though, at the one part of the game where Tressway, their punter, threw that fake
Right.
punt, and it was a dot, dude. That thing was a moon. It was a dot. I mean, what a ball. If we would have ended up losing that game, that play would have haunted me in my sleep for decades. I mean, that would have been it. I mean, that sucked the air out of the stadium. We all gasped. We're like, oh no. So they had some shining moments there. And like I think if you're a Commanders fan, you're probably feeling pretty good right now. It was house money. This is a rebuild year. You got your quarterback. You're only going to go up from here. You're going to attract some young talent. They're going to be able to come here. You're going to have some vets that are going to be staying around. Like if I'm a Commanders fan, I'm feeling pretty damn good after that. But the Eagles wanted it more. Just like I said, this is the Kirk Cousins Giants game where the Kirk Cousins when the Vikings Giants had no business being in the playoffs. They absolutely got smacked by the Philadelphia Eagles the next week, and I knew the Eagles wanted it more, and they were going to get there. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, a couple of things from that game. Number one, 7 rushing touchdowns by this Philadelphia Eagles offense. That 7 touchdowns in that one game, rushing touchdowns in that one game, was actually more rushing touchdowns than the Dallas Cowboys had their entire season. Think
Wow.
about that. Dallas Cowboys had 6 rushing touchdowns the entirety of the 2024 season.
Oh man.
The Eagles had 7 in the NFC Championship game. The other piece
Horrible.
of that is I remember that in 2022, when the Eagles were presented with the George Halas Trophy, the smiles on the stage, everyone was super excited. AJ Brown was telling Devontae Smith, I don't know what to do with myself right now. I can't believe we're going to the Super Bowl. Everyone was so excited. And it reminded me of the Super Bowl in
Mhm.
2005 in the NFC Championship game when Donovan McNabb finally went over the hump after those 3 straight NFC Championship game losses. and he was crying as he was holding the George House trophy. And it was like that was his Super Bowl. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago when Jalen Hurts was up there accepting the trophy with his teammates. All I saw was stone faced, job's not finished. We've been here before. We've made it all the way to the end and we lost the game. They know what it's going to take to win. They know that this isn't it. And granted, yes, you absolutely celebrate these moments, but I think there is enough experience on this team, enough of a bad taste in these players' mouths that they kept the right mentality and they're going into this game the right way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love what Jalen Hurts, how he addressed some of the media day questions, which I haven't paid a lot of attention to. I hate all this stuff. I kind of feel like Alshon did several years ago. It's like, this is dumb. Like, let us just play the game. I don't want no international Super Bowl either. They're talking about that. Like, this is our thing. Malk was saying that, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is our thing. We don't need to go to Australia to play a Super Bowl that's played. The whole entire season's played in the United States, and we played in Brazil earlier this year. And there's like concerns about the field, and a soccer pitch isn't the same as a football pitch, whatever. But like Jalen Hurts got asked a question by one of the media announcers, and it's like, what was your most vivid memory from the last Super Bowl? You know what Jalen Hurts said? Next question. Done. Like, he doesn't want to think about that. And it's
Yeah.
like, you can go back and like focus on the past, and like, it's not it. Did you see any of the mic'd up episodes from the NFC Championship game when he threw that out route to AJ Brown?
Like, oh, fucking do this.
He's like, this is what I do. I do this. This is what I do. I was like, oh man.
Like,
Just
man,
that clip alone got me so fired up.
and it's funny because they say that these players don't listen to the media. You know for a fact Jalen Hurts is listening. Like,
they listen to Winging It. I mean, of course, dude.
Fuel for him.
Yeah.
He wants this. He wants to show people. He wants to show them how wrong they are.
Yeah.
I did like some of the media day stuff. Like when that guy asked Travis Kelce, he was like, who do you love more, Taylor Swift or phantom 15-yard roughing the passer penalties? And Travis Kelce was like, yeah, that's a great question. And then looks to the next one. And then someone else asked Patrick Mahomes, is like, Patrick Mahomes, who's your favorite referee in the NFL? Is there someone you send a Christmas card to every year?
Yeah, I mean, we should definitely talk about the refs and the Chiefs and all of this. But let's wrap up championship weekend and get into the game. One thing when we're thinking about the other side of the ball, and that is obviously the Buffalo Bills losing to the Chiefs again. I have to say, I'm pretty upset about it. Not because I'm tired of seeing the Chiefs in it, because I think Josh Allen deserves it. Another controversial call at the end of the game. Josh Allen, 100%. There is no doubt in my mind got that first down. There's no doubt in my mind that he didn't have what he needed to do. He had the line to get. He had the line by, like, in my opinion, a pretty convincing amount to be able to get it. Of course, the Chiefs benefit from a last minute call at the end of the game where it matters the most. But I would have been able to stomach a loss to the Bills than the Chiefs.
Right.
Here's kind of like my synopsis on it. Here's the worst day that I can imagine, Ali. The game's over. The Eagles lose on a last-minute flag of the game. Just picture this with me. The Chiefs three-peat for the first time in league history. The camera's on Patrick Mahomes being Super Bowl MVP again. His Kermit the Frog voice saying whatever he is. And then the camera turns over to Travis Kelce proposing to Taylor Swift. Like, I can't think of a worse day that could ever take place, and it could possibly take place on Sunday. So, and then when you also think about this too, my buddy Wazza called me earlier this week. The Chiefs three-peating, two of those wins would be against the Philadelphia Eagles as well. Yep. And that'd be something that we would never, ever, ever, ever be able to live down, ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to think about it. Not going to think about it because we're talking about what if scenarios. I do think, looking back at this team and comparing it to the 2022 team, they're better. Vastly different.
They're better.
Vastly different. I think there are 2 starters from the 2022 season. Yeah.
2 starters?
Maybe 3.
Slay.
I'm sorry, on the defense. On the defense.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Slay.
On
definitely.
The defense. Slay.
Tay-Tay's not a starter. Yes, CJ's back. He left and came back. Yeah.
Yep, he came back. CJ Gardner-Johnson.
So he wasn't even. He's not even a part of like that original team. Like, he actually left and came back.
Correct. And then Josh Sweat.
BG.
On the defense.
BG.
Well, I don't know if he's gonna play.
I mean, what are you talking about?
I don't know if he's gonna play.
Okay, that's fair.
And if he does play, he's not gonna be starting, right? It's gonna be Nolan Smith and Sweat.
No, BG will definitely get snaps. 100%
he'll get
chance.
snaps.
Yeah,
but he's not going to start.
He may not start. Oh, We got someone in there. Shout out to Was. Yeah, no, that is actually fairly interesting. I mean, when I think about the 2022 team, like we are just significantly better. I mean, Jonathan Gannon was our coach that game. Like, when you think about like defensive coordinator, and apparently, and like I didn't really know this, but I did. Okay, I say I didn't hear anything about media day. I did hear some things on media day. Did you hear like Lane Johnson saying that they weren't ready for the way that Super Bowl games, like the way that the halftime and the way that the breaks work? Like, did you catch that comment from him at all? What was your interpretation of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't know how to take that comment by Lane Johnson because he
Mhm.
was on the 2017 Super Bowl year.
Sure.
So, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds like he was just making excuses. Like to me, the storyline of Super Bowl 57 was number one, obviously the flag, which listen, we can talk about the flags, the penalties that the Chiefs have had and
Let's
that
do it.
they've benefited from, right? But you and I were at that game, and even though they didn't show it on TV, it was pretty clear on the jumbotron right after James Bradbury held Juju Smith-Schuster, right? Like he had a handful of jersey. He admitted it after the game, and I remember specifically in that moment, you looked at me, you were like, if this was the Chiefs and they held, I would have wanted that call. So I can't really look at that specific play and be like, "Oh, this is the Chiefs and the refs colluding again." It's just not fair,
Do
right?
you think there is colluding between the refs and the Chiefs, though, in a
I
grand
th-
scheme of it?
I think there may be some implicit bias to try to protect Patrick Mahomes just
Mhm.
because he is the quote unquote face of the league now that Tom Brady is out. He is the face of the league, and it's
Mhm.
like if he's the moneymaker, if he's the reason why people are tuning in, then there is a propensity to want to protect that, even though you may not be consciously doing it. So I don't think there's intentional colluding. I do think that obviously there is favoritism. But what I do think about that storyline, the biggest storyline for me in Super Bowl 57 was the turf. The fact that we had what over 70 sacks going
Mhm.
into that playoffs, our defensive line was the most dominant in like the last 30 years, 30 to
Mhm.
40 years, and we couldn't get one sack on Patrick Mahomes because our defensive line, our edge rushers were coming around and just slipping and sliding all over the place. A field like that favors the offense more than it does the defense. And even when you look at the one defensive play that the Chiefs made against the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, the ball just slipped out of his hands. It wasn't a sack fumble or anything like that. It
Yeah.
just, he was running and it just slipped out of his hands.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, he hasn't been doing that too much this year. There really actually hasn't been that many turnovers from Jalen Hurts like near the end of the season. Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I do think that the slippery field definitely benefits the offense significantly more than it does the defense. And you can argue and say, well, they play on the same field. It's like, yeah, but one defense is dominant than the other, and it benefits the other side of the ball. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like buying into like the Chiefs are colluding with the refs and it's this big conspiracy. And you'll go down this wormhole. It's like, well, the NFL is actually labeled as an entertainment company, and it's just like the same premise of worldwide wrestling. And dude, there is so much crap talk and things that you have to pay and do to players, and so many players that get absolutely screwed by the league, that of course the top would blow off if there was a script or something like that. Like, get your head out of your ass. Like, you're being ridiculous. But I do think the Chiefs get some insanely lucky calls and they get bailed out near the end of the game. Kind of like what you said, Ali. I think it's a little bit of bias. It's just like, hey, this isn't a Jacksonville Jaguars New York Giants game. It's like, no, this is going to be another top contending team that does all of it. The only thing I will say though is it always seems like these calls happen against the Bengals though. They
Yeah.
always happen against the Bengals and Chiefs. Like every time there's a big moment, there's always like a late hit or a roughing the pass or like whatever. But Patrick Mahomes isn't helping his own narrative by flopping. He's
Yeah.
not. I mean, he's intentionally out there doing LeBron James style esque flops, trying to get dragged flags. And every time he gets hit, he's looking at the ref and he's yelling at the ref and he's pointing and he's doing all of this. If he really wants to not have that persona of and that image of being a person that is crying to the refs and everything, then simply put, he needs to stop crying to the refs. So, although I don't think there's some sort of collusion against the Philadelphia Eagles, I do think the Eagles have to beat two people this week. They have to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and they have to beat the refs. They have to be able to do it, which means they have to remain disciplined. They can't hit late. They can't do any tic-tac stuff near the end of the game or like near the end of plays or when things are a little bit questionable. They don't need to rip off helmets. CJ needs to just talk and not drop any. I don't know what he said to get a unsportsmanlike conduct, because they're always saying that he's saying whatever on the field and he got a flag for that. He needs to keep his mouth revving. Did you see the interview with Vic Fangio by any chance?
No, I didn't see it.
He said, "Who talks more trash, BG or CJ?" He said, "Oh, CJ." It's not even close.
Oh, really?
He said, "Oh, it's CJ." It's not even close. So all that being said, I'm kind of rambling on here, but yeah, CJ Chauncey Gardner Johnson needs to chill with what he's saying and not getting any more unsportsmanlike penalties.
Yeah, I mean, there's one game left in the season. Like you got to pull out whatever you got.
You got it.
Right?
No, you got to trash talk. You got to get in their heads. You got to get them all mad. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, but the fact that CJ Gardner Johnson got kicked out of the game after someone punched his helmet clean off,
Yeah,
should tell you how bad that trash talk must have been for the referee to be like, nope.
well, it
You
happened in
deserve
the
that.
Bears Saints game when he played for the Saints. You remember? I forget what wide receiver went on.
Oh,
Went on
yes.
and started punching him in the face, like in the middle of the game. And he's just like, "What are you doing, bro?" Like that's how much trash this guy talks. And everyone's like, he needs to stop doing it. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's a superpower.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
a superpower. Like, you ever been bullied as a kid and they keep talking and talking and talking, and then like you take your anger out of them and it does absolutely nothing, or you get in trouble? It's like, it's the best thing, dude.
We don't condone bullying.
We
Do
don't
not
condone
bully.
bullying.
This is specifically just a tactic that CJ Gardner
Yes.
Johnson plays during the game. He is a saint off the field. Ronald Torbert is going to be this Super Bowl's head referee. I don't have any issues with him.
Okay, cool.
Never had
Next
any issues.
topic. So here's something that's fairly interesting is, have you seen how much Super Bowl tickets have gone down?
Yes.
So when we
trying to go?
went, dude, I could. I mean, I got to be in Chicago on Sunday, but I even had a conversation today. I was like, "Ah, could I? Could I?" So I know when you and I went, it was probably double. It was
Yep.
double what it was. And I remember for us, like, we were using like airline miles we saved up from COVID. You and I found a family friend of yours that lived down there that happened to be away. We rented the most janky Toro car I've ever been in, driving up the side of a cliff, thinking the door was going to fall off and the car was going to flip over. Definitely not our finest moment, but we got there. And now I'm looking at tickets and I'm like, yeah, they're expensive, but $2,100 is not much more. Like, that's the cheapest one. I was just on StubHub. $2,196 is the cheapest ticket to get into the Super Bowl. And that is not much more than what an NFC Championship game is. Is $2,100 absolutely absurd to go watch a sporting event? Absolutely. But if you're going to do it once in your life and your team is at the Super Bowl and your team, you're like a Dallas Cowboys fan and your team hasn't been done anything for 20 years, like, you better believe like it is worth that price to be able to go.
Yeah. But I will say my biggest takeaway from going to Super Bowl 57 is the halftime show is definitely made for the people in the stadium.
The whole thing's made for people in the stadium.
The football game is made for people on TV. It is made for
Yeah.
television.
The whole thing, I'm sorry, yeah, the whole thing is made for television. The amount of breaks, the amount of like pump up or videos they're trying to show, just like, dude, I just remember when we were there was so much time between plays.
Yep.
I was like, these guys aren't even sweating right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's totally made for TV, and it was just a hassle. Like, it took us like 2 hours to get home. Then we went to In-N-Out Burger, and we were like crying in our food. Like, it was a whole thing. It was a whole
And then
thing.
the Chiefs fans came in In-N-Out Burger and all smiling at us like, dude, just leave us alone. Leave us in our
alone.
emotions.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to eat my burger. Like, go eat steak or something, you freaking
Yeah.
winner.
Let's talk about this game. Let's talk
Yeah.
about this game because I think there are a few matchups here that I think I find pretty intriguing. First and foremost, Vic Fangio brings up this stat to his defense earlier this week. He said the Eagles are 5-0 on artificial turf this year. They've allowed an NFL low 11.6 points per game when playing on artificial turf, which is a full touchdown better than the number 2 team that's in front of them. I do think that if we played on artificial turf in Super Bowl 57, that the outcome would have been different.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think the turf mattered in that game. Jonathan Gannon aside, Vic Fangio is significantly better of a coordinator than Jonathan Gannon ever was or ever could be. And this defense is better than the Super Bowl 57 defense. I think this is going to be the biggest matchup that we have to watch, obviously, because Patrick Mahomes is on the other side. But yeah, let's talk about the defense. What do you think?
Well, I think we can talk about the defense. Um, I think the Eagles are better in every facet of the game except three, and across any position. I think the only thing the Chiefs have us on one is special teams. If Jake Elliott misses another, he already should be gone next year. If I had an Apple Watch, it'd be like, dude, are you getting robbed right now? Like, what do you want? Like, what's going on right now? Like, your blood pressure is so high, right? Like, every time Jake Elliott lines up to kick a field goal, I feel like I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts has a lot of other things that Patrick Mahomes doesn't. I think he has the run threat, and I think there are different skill sets that each quarterback goes through. But Patrick Mahomes has certainly proven himself, and the head coach. I mean, Andy Reid is built for this. He wins Super Bowls in his sleep and everything. There's not another matchup that the Philadelphia Eagles lack in. We have better wide receivers. We have a better running team. We have a better offensive line. We have a better defensive line. We have better linebackers. We have better safeties. We have better corners. Maybe you throw McDuffie in there for like an even like one-to-one matchup. But like besides that, like I can't think of a single area where the Philadelphia Eagles have a mismatch besides the three that I listed there. And I'm still terrified that it's like a 1.5 point game in the Chiefs' favor right now.
Yeah, so if we're gonna go that route, then there is one specific spot that I'm actually pretty worried about, and that
Sure.
is Steve Spagnuolo against Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts' ability, as well as his offense's ability to pick up the blitz. The Kansas City Chiefs
Mhm.
blitz cornerbacks more than any other team in the NFL. They blitz most on third and fourth down. And mark my words, I firmly believe Jalen Hurts is going to be sacked at least 3 times this game, all of which are more than likely going to be on third or fourth down.
Yeah. So you think we're gonna be punting a lot this game?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be punting a lot. I do think this is going to be a lower scoring game. It is going to be a lot more boring than people like. But I do think that this is going to be a chess match between two defensive coordinators going up against their respective offensive opponents, with Vic Fangio against Patrick Mahomes and Steve Spagnuolo against Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and there's so many stats that you can look at, Ali, and like that's why when you talk about like, the artificial turf or the blitz, like I mean, here's another one. The Chiefs throw the most amount of passes that end up in the receiver's hands behind the line of scrimmage. Do you know who has the best defense for teams that throw behind the line of scrimmage? It's the Philadelphia Eagles, right? So like there's another stat that's taking away something else that, and you could find any single stat to be able to prove. You know, I think we almost live in an age of like analysis paralysis of like there's so many different stories and things that you can tell to be able to prove your argument. So I don't know if Jalen Hurts picking up the blitz and what that looks like necessarily scares me. I just think about like what do the Eagles do best and what do the Chiefs do best? The Eagles are a run first team. Our offensive line is fine and we can run through the interior of the Chiefs defensive line. I really don't have any worries that we're going to be able to run up on them. The Chiefs haven't led, I think, more than 150 rushing yards in any postseason game, but it's been like right up there. 150 yards is a lot. Like, I don't care what anyone's saying. And you also have Jalen Hurts and Saquon, the dual threat. You throw Kenneth Gainwell in there, like, I'm not too worried about it.
Right.
Um,
They haven't
I,
allowed a 100-yard rusher.
they haven't allowed a single person, though. They've allowed teams, but not a single
Correct.
person over 100 yards rushing before.
Saquon's about to change that.
They haven't played Saquon Barkley. No.
Right.
I mean, and even if they do take him away, then you have the air. I don't like the fact that it's 48.5 for total points because I do feel like it's going to be a little bit more of a higher scoring affair.
Really?
Well, we just came from a week where we scored 55 points.
Do you think we have? I mean, they're not the same defenses, the Commanders and the Chiefs. Holistically speaking, they're just not, right? The talent level alone is significantly better on the Chiefs. Chris Jones can wreck a game if you let him.
Didn't haven't the Chiefs not scored more than what was that stat? They haven't scored more than how many points in a game this season up until last week? Because
That's a
they
great
scored
question, but
32 on a fairly stout Buffalo defense.
I know their point differential. I think is the lowest out of any Super Bowl attendee, like Super Bowl team.
Mhm.
Let me look this up.
Eagles score most points ever in a conference championship game. It's insane, dude.
Right, the Kansas City Chiefs
Philadelphia
entire
covered -6. Sorry. It's just funny.
the Kansas City Chiefs entire point differential this year is 59. Now, granted, they didn't play the last game of the season, and they lost like 31-0 against the Broncos. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess 48 probably sounds fine. It's just you can never count these guys out. I just feel like on paper we're just such a significantly better team.
I agree. I do think there are a couple of storylines here that I'm excited to watch. Saquon Barkley is 30 yards away from breaking Terrell Davis's all-time record. And AJ, uh, Eagles win by double digits, and Jalen puts on a performance as a good / better than Super Bowl round one. I'm guessing 35-24 win. Well, I love the enthusiasm. I do think that if we are going to win this game, it's going to be because Jalen Hurts was not the game manager, quote unquote. I'm going to put it in quotes, right? Because Jalen
Mhm.
Hurts, calling him a game manager has a negative connotation, but we have been winning ever since Jalen Hurts has started taking more care of the football, right?
Mhm.
He takes sacks, he throws the ball away, he runs when he needs to, but he doesn't take unnecessary risks. And it's been a winning formula for us so far. It's not sexy. We're not airing it down the field. We're running the football and we're playing defense. It is the most basic thing you can do to win football games, but that's how the 85 Bears became the dynasty that they were. Um, I do think, however, though, a couple of storylines that I want to watch out for. Saquon Barkley, 30 yards away from breaking Terrell Davis's all-time rushing record in both the regular season as well as the playoffs. And you can't say that, oh, we've got a longer season because Saquon Barkley sat out in the last game of the season. So he's
Mhm.
got 30 yards to be able to break that. He's also, I believe he's 53 yards away from 2,500 total yards, which is just insane.
That
It's
is nuts.
insane that we're talking about this, right?
Yeah, it sounds made up.
Yes. And then the
Wow.
last piece is really, to I appreciate AJ for the comment, right? Because Jalen Hurts, with this appearance in Super Bowl 59, becomes the first quarterback since the 90s, the early 90s,
Mhm.
to lose his first Super Bowl and then come back to the game. Not only
Yeah.
did he come back to that game, but he came back 2 seasons later.
Mm. The man just gets so much hate, Ali. He gets so much hate, and we've clowned on him too, right?
His
Um,
hairline's just messed up,
his hairline, dude, he needs a new barber. Well, I think he probably has a new barber now. I mean, ever since he got engaged, it looks like his hairline's looks a little bit better. Maybe he got the message.
or his wife's cut his hair.
Yeah, yeah, or that. um, yeah, the man just gets so much hate, and all he does is win. That's all he does is win, and he's just there's always going to be an excuse on why he's not doing this. And if I hear another comparison that like Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson or anyone else is better than Jalen Hurts, I'll just be like, okay, how many times have they made a Super Bowl? I'm really hoping Jalen gets it done, not because I'm an Eagles fan. I'm so emotionally invested into this. Actually, here's something that's pretty funny. I was I was listening to a Instagram reel on Barstool Sports, and I forget his name. He has this show with um Patrick Beverly. He was a player for the Sixers for a while. Yeah,
Yep.
and he said, like, "Did you bet on the game?" And he says, "No, because there's no amount of money that I could possibly win or lose in that situation that would make me feel any different about the joy that it would bring me." He's like, I could win $100 million and it wouldn't be, or I could win $100 million. My team lost and it wouldn't be worth as much as it would be to win. If I won $1 billion, it wouldn't matter because like it is worth like $100 billion to me for the Eagles to win. So I didn't bet on this. I don't have any futures on the Eagles, and I feel that so much, dude. I feel that so much. Like
Yeah.
there's no amount of money that would make me feel better that if the Eagles lost. Like there's no money in this game for me as well.
Yeah. And you know what? I do have to admit, all of our fire Nick Sirianni commentary at the beginning of the season, we were questioning whether or not Kellen Moore was the right hire.
I never
This
doubted him. Nick, I did, but not Kellen.
right, right. The Philadelphia Eagles, God, their video team, their social team is just top notch. The way that they portray Nick Sirianni in those weekly meetings that he has with his team,
Mm-hmm.
those conversations, the speeches that he gives, like the dude fires me up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up on the Pat McAfee show wearing a sweatshirt saying "tough, detailed, together," which is a theme that he's been hammering home all season with his team. Something that he constantly says to his players that I didn't even know was a comment that he came up with. It was just something that I heard his players repeat, several different players repeating in different interviews, is you can't be great without the greatness of others. And it wasn't until a couple of weeks ago that I actually heard Nick Sirianni say that and kind of repeat it over and over again, that I realized, like, holy cow, man, this team is 100% bought into this dude, this his
Yeah.
philosophy, his leadership style. It doesn't matter what the media says about this guy. This team would die for him. And yeah, I'm glad I was wrong about Nick Sirianni. Obviously, we had the crazy collapse of last season, but I mean, we also had Brian Johnson, Sean Desai, and Matt Patricia as our coordinators, right?
Yeah.
So it's
I
not
am a
all in
little
the
bit
head
worried
coach.
about that for next season too, because there's a lot of talk that Kellen Moore. Like, I just wish we got some continuity, man. I really do. I'm so
Do you think Kellen
tired.
Moore is going to go to the Saints after what happened with the Archdiocese?
Yeah, I did hear about that scandal. I'm hoping that it keeps him away, and he's just like, yo, like I don't want any part of this. It would be a really bad look for him to still
Yeah,
go and be able to do that, especially in today's climate. Like
right.
you can't escape that. It's gonna follow you for a while. And then I forget who it was, but there was like already somebody else in mind, somebody that's been with the Eagles for a while. It's like an internal homegrown person. I forget the name. If you said it, I would know it.
Yep. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's like
He looks like Justin Tucker a little bit, but without the
Oh,
"would you do it
there's
for 40
Justin Tucker
bucks?"
drama. What is going on here, dude? Dude, just don't get a massage. Like everybody, stay away from the massage places. Sheesh. Jeez, man. A kicker. Too. It's just like, come on, man.
Maybe we need to stop calling Cameron Dicker the kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a really bad look, but back to my original point. I mean, to get to the stage again 1 year after that year that we absolutely imploded, is incredible. Man, I can't believe we're talking about Super Bowl right now. It's insane to me.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, I was sitting here saying our championship window is really small. It's really tough to make it to this game, and it's tough to win it. We did a very tough thing, which is make it back
Mhm.
to the Super Bowl, something that hasn't happened with a singular quarterback in the last, 30 plus years. And
And we
now we
have
just gotta execute.
such a young nucleus, especially on the defensive side of the
Yes.
ball.
Oh my
Ali,
god.
Cooper DeJean's not going anywhere. Jalen Carter is not going anywhere. Nolan Smith isn't going anywhere. Hopefully, Zach Bond isn't
Oh my
going
god.
anywhere.
Sign Zach Bond
Sign Zach
now.
Bond. Sign Zach
Why
Bond
didn't you
right
sign
now.
him like a month ago?
Lane Johnson's, I mean, on the offensive side, Lane Johnson said he's definitely coming back. Jordan Mailata is starting to become my favorite NFL player of all time, dude.
Go, son.
Go, son. Go, son. Unhook the trailer. Like, I love this guy. I freaking love this guy, dude. Cam Jurgens isn't going anywhere. Saquon Barkley signed a multi-year deal. Jalen Hurts is going to be locked in forever. Smitty's still really young in his career. I could see AJ moving on, a little bit later on. But dude, like we just have so much to be excited for. Like, dude, if the Eagles pull it off now, we might be the new villains of the NFL in a few years' time because our team is young. They're only going to get better. They're only going to get more developed. And like maybe it's just some wishful thinking, but this may be a regular occurrence for us. Maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
Yeah, let's focus on Sunday first. Let's focus on Sunday. I like where you're headed though. I do like the idea of becoming the new Kansas City Chiefs and everyone hating it. I mean, everyone already hates us. They
Yeah.
might as well hate us because we're winning.
I don't know if a lot of people hate us. I think that we're just so loud and eccentric that people are just put off by us. Yeah, I guess our fans kind of suck too. There's a lot of really bad moments that go viral, unfortunately, in Lincoln Financial Field, like
Yeah.
top executives at consulting companies that coach individuals calling women names in the stands and whatnot, and some videos of people letting hats off. I guess people do kind of overall hate us.
But you know what?
um
You know what? Look, my wife just got me this shirt. It's gonna get here on Saturday. It says, "We boo because we care." Philadelphia Eagles
yeah,
fans.
we do
W-
because we care.
We care.
Speaking of shirts, I told you in the green room before this, I got a Super Bowl jersey coming my way. You have to guess what player it is. I will give you two clues: defensive side of the ball, and in my opinion will be number one on NFL's top 100 by the
Jalen
end of their
Carter.
career. Jalen Carter, absolutely. You guessed that right away. Yeah,
He is a game wrecker.
yeah.
He in my mind, I could potentially see if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I could potentially see Jalen Carter being named Super Bowl MVP.
It could be. And they moved a guard, right? They were having guard problems in Kansas City, right? Jalen Carter could 100% wreck this game. Again, no one's going to believe me if I say I didn't pay any attention to media day, but did you hear what Jalen Carter's answer was to slow down Patrick Mahomes?
No.
Sack him a whole bunch of times. I mean, that is the right attitude to have. By the way, it looks like he was on the injury report with an illness and missed his media day, but he had a full practice today. So there's no way anyone's missing this game on Sunday.
No.
No way.
No. And you know what? It would be so just amazing to see Jalen Carter's, you know how like quarterbacks, when they spike the football and Jalen Carter tries to sneak under the center to try to intercept it between their
We got a
legs.
penalty last game because of that.
It'd be amazing if he catches it though.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. All right. Well, hit us with a score prediction. What do you think? Do you want me to start? I already have it jotted down.
Go ahead.
I think on paper, the Philadelphia Eagles are a significantly better team. Like I said earlier in this episode, the only thing they beat us on is special teams, quarterback, but that's really close because you have to look at intangibles and what they do better in coaching. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a significant favorite in this game, although the lines say that the Kansas City Chiefs are 1.5-point favorite because they are the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't ever count them out. They did have a great year. They almost went undefeated with only 2 losses. We only lost 3 times, but to all of that. With all of that being said, I think it's going to be a close game. I think a storybook ending would be to redeem it off of Jake Elliott's foot in an overtime win, 28-31 Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. 28-31.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't foresee this game going into overtime. I do foresee, however, the Eagles scoring 23 points. Because as I said, I do think that this is going to be a defensive heavy game. 23 points because the Eagles will score 3 touchdowns, a field goal, and Jake Elliott's going to miss an extra point because that's what he's going to do.
Oh man, he always jeez, dude.
Quick off-season pivot. Since Kellen is all but assured to take the New Orleans job, who do either of you like as the new OC in Philly?
Just Kellen. Just Kellen.
I just want continuity. Jalen Hurts his
Yeah.
entire career, I think he's had like 2 seasons where he's had the same OC for the entirety of 2 seasons. But going back to my score prediction,
Call
the
Frank
Eagles will
Reich. Bring him back. Anyway.
Oh, that would be nice. That would
Yeah.
be nice. The Eagles will score 23 points because Jake Elliott's going to miss an extra point. He is going to make a field goal, though. I do think that Patrick Mahomes is going to have the football at the end of the game, driving down. They will have 21 points. All he needs to do is get him into field goal range.
Oh man.
And on a 4th and 10, our defensive line is going to get there and
Yeah.
sack him and turn the ball over on downs.
Yeah. No flags.
And we're going to hold our breaths for a good 3 minutes because the referees just happen to, 3 plays later, oh, by the way, we're going to shut this play down because there was a flag three plays ago. We're all going to hold our breaths, but I predict that the Philadelphia Eagles will be the Super Bowl 59 champions on a final score in the fourth quarter of 23-21.
All right, man. Dude, I'm freaking pumped. We'll definitely be bringing our post-game analysis. It may be a couple days late. I will be in Chicago. Definitely will be watching. And if you're in the Chicago area, go to the Reveler. I will be there watching it. I think it's like 20 TV, Stadium Day experience and everything. Have to go for a work trip, but still going to be watching the game. Definitely move my flight up so I make sure that there's no delays and I can definitely get there on time. But yeah, so
Send
any
us home,
final
man.
words? Yeah. I'm happy we're here. I can believe we're here. We deserve to be here. We won through the playoffs. We beat the Green Bay Packers. We beat the LA Rams. We absolutely decimated the Washington Commanders. I'm feeling it. Super Bowl 59 could be the second championship we ever bring back to Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts will be memorialized as a statue. And this nucleus of this team is young, stout, hungry. And just like the motto has been all season, let's hunt. I cannot wait for Sunday. I'm not going to be able to sleep probably up till we upload this episode. But that's episode 97. I can't believe all the episodes we've done together and we've had the fortunate opportunity to talk about playoffs and Super Bowls. It is just so freaking exciting. Hold our breath. Let's go Birds.
Go Birds.
You stop the recording.
I did.
Crazy.